I made $4,098 today trading. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I took this trade, the exact strategy I'm using, and how you can do this for yourself. So first things first, what trade did I take? I took a break and retest to the downside, but let's start from the very beginning. What's a break and retest? What levels am I looking at? Let's start from the top. So first things first, what levels am I looking at? I am marking out untested highs and lows of the New York session, the Asia session, and the London trading session. I do this by using the Asian session range indicator. I don't really like to call it an indicator because it doesn't really show us any buy or sell signals. It's just purely a tool that we use to find our level. So I think about it more as a tool and less of an indicator. But that's how I get my levels. So day started, I noted that we had this gap right here, and we also had this high that was untested and these two highs. These were also all-time highs. We opened up, and oh yeah, the other level that you guys need to mark out is the 15-minute candle at 8 a.m. So this is the candle from 8 to 8:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is our New York open. This is when the New York Forex session starts. This is when the volume starts coming in. This is not the New York stock market open. The New York stock market opens at 9:30, and I'll talk about that in one moment. But all you need to know for now is that this is how we get the levels. So I was looking at that this morning, and I said, okay, now that we are breaking out to the downside, I'm going to look for a break and retest to the downside because I saw the price was coming below this New York open right here, and it was doing that really before the market opened. So when the market opened, we were already below the New York open. So the only setup that we really could have looked for was a break and retest to the downside, and we already got the break. Because remember, guys, this is what a break and retest looks like. We get a break right here, then we get a retest, and then we get continuation in the same direction that we broke out to. So I took this retest right here. I literally entered like the second we tapped that zone, and I was in this trade for a while. I was in this trade for about 55 minutes, and I got out of this trade right here because it was taking a really long time, and I didn't like price action on NQ. And in full transparency, guys, I kind of misread that. I got out a little bit too early. I was just looking at NQ, and I thought that NQ looked a little bit bullish. I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to fully talk too much about that right now. But I was looking at NQ around this time and the reactions that it was having to liquidity areas, and I thought that it was a little bit bullish. I also wanted to make sure that I got out of this trade in the green because I was in this trade for so damn long, and I was not okay with letting this trade turn red. So I said, okay, I'm gonna get out right here for about 8 points with $4,000 in profit. And obviously, you guys can see that I should have held a little bit more. If I held a little bit more, I would have made probably $10,000. But I did not. And in trading, we focus on what we did, not what we could have done. Because if we focus on what we could have done, then everybody's a genius, right? Everybody's a genius. You could have bought Bitcoin in 2012. I could have bought Bitcoin in 2011, right? But that's not what happened. We didn't do that. So we have to deal with the reality of what actually happens. So knowing this, why did I get out right here? I got out right here because I was okay with my risk reward here. I was in a 1 to a 2.5 risk reward. I was completely okay with that. I also just want to show you guys, if I did hold this trade, all the way down to here, who's to say that I wouldn't have gotten greedy and tried to hold for even more downside, and then, I could have ended up taking an even smaller profit right here when we reverse. So that's why you can never play the could have, should have game, because if you're looking at this right now, I know what you guys are thinking. You're like, oh, we could have held until this, right? Yeah, I could have. But how would you guys know that I would have gotten out perfectly right here? Who's to say I didn't hold down here and then get out right here? So that's why I never play the could have game, because we all could have done and could have done so many different things, right? So we don't like to play the game. We like to play the game of here's what happened, here's what I saw. Now, I just want to go over real quick two things that have been crucial to my trading success recently. The first thing, my trading plan. This is something that I always tell people that it's such a crucial part of my strategy, but people don't listen. I only trade from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to about 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that means I am only trading this little window. Let me go in the 15-minute. I am only trading this little window, guys, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The reason I do that is because my break and retest setup, when it plays out, it always plays at, not always, but 99% of the time, when it plays out the best, it's at this time. So why on earth, if I have seen literally like hundreds, I've probably seen 300 break and retests happen at 9:45 or 9:55 or 10:01, why on earth would I try to trade at 2 p.m.? Why? Doesn't make any sense. I should just stick to what I know is very likely to repeat. And the other thing that this trading plan does for me is it gives me a very clear mind. If I was trading for 8 hours a day, you guys would not see me anywhere. I would not be profitable. I would have mental illness, and I would honestly just be very unhappy, and I would not be making money because your brain can make really good decisions for like 2 hours. Your brain cannot make really good decisions for 8 hours, right? It can't. That's why pilots have co-pilots, because they need to have some pilot do a little bit of the work first 3 hours, other pilot does other half of the work last 3 hours, right? So they're not constantly all in all the time. Like, you guys, I promise you, if pilots have to switch off, you guys cannot be trading for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. There's no reason to do that. And if you're going to make the argument of like, okay, I trade crypto, even if you trade crypto, you shouldn't be doing that. Even if you trade crypto, you shouldn't be doing that. So trading plan is really, really important. The second thing that has been extremely important for me recently, like today was really helpful, is visualizing the what if scenario on my trade. Today, I looked at this trade and I didn't love price action this morning. I didn't love it just because the volume was a little bit low. We were chopping around, but I visualized the what if scenario and I said, okay, if I take this trade right here and I have my stop just above here, what happens if I hit my stop loss? I would have lost $1,000. Am I okay with that? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm up a ton of money this month, so I am completely okay with the $1,000 loss, right? So that's what happens if it hits my risk. I was okay with that. That's the first thing you got to do. Second thing you got to do is you got to say, okay, am I okay if this hits my reward? Which obviously I am. Hopefully you guys are okay with making money too. But the reason I say that, all jokes aside, is because if you're not okay with the risk to reward here, you shouldn't take the trade. I was completely fine with a 1 to 2.5 risk to reward. If this was a 0.5, I would not have been completely fine because that just would have made no sense, would have been against my strategy, would have been a terrible example for you guys, and just wouldn't have been good in any way. So what I do is I visualize, okay, what happens if it hits my stop loss? Bam, I'm okay with that. What happens if it hits my take profit? I'm okay with that. When you guys do that, you are mentally preparing your mind for both outcomes. So when it hits your reward or it hits your risk, those are the only two things that can happen, guys. There's two things that can happen when you're in a trade. It hits your reward or it hits your risk, or you get stopped at a break even, right? But that's not even really a part of this because we're just talking about the two main outcomes. If you are 100% clear with yourself on what both of these outcomes look like, and when I say look like, I mean how much money are you going to lose? How much money are you going to win, right? When you are okay with that, then you can take the damn trade. One of my issues when I first started trading, and I know that you guys struggle with this too because people tell me about it, I didn't do this. I would just enter a trade sometimes without a stop loss, and then I would be moving my stop loss based on what the trade was doing. This is just awful, guys. This is so awful. I didn't mean to yell, but it is. It's terrible because what this does is this causes you to trade your profit and loss. You're not trading the charts. You're trading your profit and loss, meaning when you're down, you're going to be like, okay, I'm scared. I'm going to sell a little bit. When you're up, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to get out. That's the opposite of what we're trying to do. We are trying to trade the charts. We are trying to trade price action. So when we're completely okay with both outcomes, we can do that just fine, right? We can do that just fine because we already know what the trade's going to look like. And this is a little tip that every single profitable trader I know uses, and all the unprofitable traders I know don't use this trick. So if that doesn't tell you guys that you should probably use this trick, I don't know what does. So now, real quick, we're going to show you guys, or I'm going to show you guys some other people who took this trade just so you guys can see that I am not the only person who is using this strategy. David took that trade on NQ. AJ took that, what did he trade? He took ES longs today. Shrev took that break and retest to the downside for a 1 to 3 risk reward. He was able to catch a little bit more of the move than I did, which is honestly great to see. Angel also caught some of that move. He got that break and retest to the downside. Brian got that break and retest to the downside, caught 10 points for $400. Beautiful. I love to see it. So did Kyle. Kyle made $1,500. Benny, boom. Benny cashed in. Damn. Benny made 700 times 5. So Benny made like $3,500 today. So shout out Benny. Beautiful, beautiful trade. He got into that break and retest as well with a beautiful entry. Damn, very nice entry. ZJR also got in that break and retest. He made he made about $4,000 right there. Very cool to see. ZJR is in the premium group, and he just got his first payout. That's awesome. I love to see that. I got to react to that. That's cool. But yeah, guys, if this doesn't show you that the strategy doesn't just work for me, it works for people who are committed to making money and want to actually put in the work, they're going to do well. Break and retest. And yeah, guys, cashed in today. And real quick, when I say put in work, I want to make that clear. This is not like a David Goggins 12-hour a day kind of thing. This is just a consistency thing. If you guys can spend 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, 2 hours a day, every day, you can miss a day here and there, you'll still be okay. You guys can do that, you'll be good, right? You don't need to do David Goggins backflips, 3 a.m. runs. Like, that's not what this is. This is just you actually wanting to learn a skill. You know what I mean? Just like meeting us halfway. If you do want to work with me one-on-one, what that would look like is you're working with me, and my entire goal is to get you profitable in the next 90 days, get you to $10,000 a month or more. Once you're making more than $10,000 a month, we consider you profitable. So if you want to work with me, hop on calls, get your trades reviewed, get mentorship from me, click the link in the bio or click the link in the description of this video and book a call. And it's not going to be like a buy now thing. This is literally just a call for me and my team to look at you and say, hey, we think that we can get this guy to where he needs to be. If we can, we'd be happy to work with you. If we can't, then we're not going to work with you. If we know that we can help you become successful, we are more than happy to work with you because one, we get a testimonial, we make money, you make money, everybody wins, right? So that's how this thing works. If you guys want to work with me, link's right there. If not, no worries. Hope you guys enjoyed the vid. Peace out.